I remember the day my investment account showed $1,043 in a single month while I sat in my cubicle eating a sad desk salad. I stared at that number for a long time, not because it changed my life, but because money showed up without me trading hours for it. My name is Diana, and that moment completely changed how I understand wealth, freedom, and what actually matters when building a better financial life. Here is something nobody really explains about passive income, because most people focus on the wrong number from the very beginning. Everyone online obsesses over net worth, showing screenshots of 2 million, 5 million, or 10 million like that number equals freedom automatically. But let me ask you something honest. Can you actually eat net worth or pay your electric bill with unrealized gains sitting inside an account? The answer is obviously no, because what really matters is cash flow, real dollars hitting your bank account on a predictable schedule. Cash flow is the only number that actually buys freedom, options, and peace of mind in real-life situations. Most people think passive income works like a light switch, where you are either broke and working or rich and retired on a beach. That idea is fake, because there is a huge middle zone nobody talks about where you still work, but the fear slowly starts fading. This is the zone where your boss loses power over you and where you finally start having choices instead of constant pressure. Getting through that zone requires hitting very specific monthly income milestones that change your psychology and behavior. Just like the first $100,000 in net worth is the hardest to build, the first $1,000 per month is the hardest income target. At first it feels impossible because you are grinding, reinvesting, and optimizing while barely seeing progress month to month. But once you cross certain thresholds, things change fast, not just financially but mentally as well. Today I am breaking down 3 monthly income targets that quietly change your life along with the real math behind them. The first milestone is $1,000 per month, or $12,000 per year, and this number is all about validation. This is the number that proves passive income is not just theory or internet nonsense people argue about online. If you use the traditional stock market route with conservative rules, you need roughly $300,000 invested to reach this level. Let that sink in for a second, $300,000 just to generate $1,000 per month. When you see the math clearly, it sounds crazy, and that is why most people never reach this milestone using stocks alone. But things change if you are willing to trade what I call sweat equity instead of only relying on capital. This includes YouTube channels, digital products, rental properties, or freelance retainers built into recurring income systems. These income streams require work upfront and sometimes maintenance, but they pay you without being tied to hourly labor. A rental property needs repairs, a video needs to be created, but once done, they earn while you sleep or work elsewhere. That is why $1,000 per month matters so much, because it proves the system actually works in real life. It is the moment you stop reading about passive income and start experiencing it yourself. You realize this is not reserved for people with trust funds or lucky tech stock wins. There is also a practical side that matters, because $1,000 can cover groceries and utilities in most places. In lower cost areas, it might even cover rent, which changes how safe you feel overnight. It is not quit your job money, not even close, but it loosens the trap enough to breathe differently. If you reinvest that $1,000 every month instead of spending it, your compounding speed doubles immediately. Now your money is adding to itself instead of relying only on your paycheck. This milestone is brutal because you have no leverage early on and every dollar feels small. You are pushing a car uphill with no momentum and questioning whether the effort makes sense. But once you reach this level, momentum starts helping instead of fighting you. That brings us to the second milestone, which is where life starts feeling genuinely different. Milestone 2 is $3,500 per month, or $42,000 per year. This level is often called lean financial independence, and it changes how safe your life feels. Using traditional investments, you need roughly $600,000 to $800,000 to reach this level. If you prefer real estate, That usually means 2 or 3 paid-off rental properties producing steady cash flow. Why does $3,500 per month matter so much? Because it covers housing, food, and transportation. These are the expenses that create fear when money feels uncertain. When those are covered, the fear starts disappearing. You are not wealthy yet, but you are secure, and that changes everything. This is what I call the toxic job shield, because you can walk away from bad situations. You will not starve or become homeless if you leave a job you hate. That psychological shift is massive and hard to understand until you experience it. People at this level take smarter risks, switch careers, and negotiate harder. They are not rich, but they are free from the fear of total ruin. Now I will explain the final milestone, why abundance feels different, and why most people quit right before everything accelerates. The third milestone is $1,300 per month, or $100,000 per year, and this is what I call the abundance level. At this point, math becomes almost hard to believe, because passive income finally replaces effort as the main driver of growth. To reach this level using passive investing, you need roughly $2 to $2.5 million invested in income-producing assets. At that size, a strong market year can add $200,000 or more to your net worth without you doing anything at all. You could take an entire year off from work and still watch your wealth grow while you sleep, travel, or sit at home. This is where time and money fully disconnect for the first time in your life. You are earning a 6-figure income without needing to trade hours for it anymore. At this level, you can afford reasonable luxuries without touching your principal or stressing about future security. Nice dinners, travel, and a solid car become normal instead of stressful financial decisions. But here is the key thing most people misunderstand about this level. The difference between milestone 2 and milestone 3 is comfort and luxury. The difference between milestone 1 and milestone 2 is survival. That is the gap that truly changes your life. Most people fixate on abundance before they ever secure safety. That mistake causes frustration and burnout early on. When you start at zero, every dollar requires your time and presence. If you stop working, the money stops coming in. That creates constant pressure and limits your options. Building passive income means working a job while building something else that pays nothing at first. You are working 2 jobs while only one pays you. That is why the first $1,000 per month feels so brutal. You are building skills, systems, and habits from nothing. Mistakes are common and progress feels slow. Many people quit at $400 per month because it feels pointless. What they do not see is that months 7 through 12 often outperform the first 6 combined. That is where momentum starts quietly building. Once you reach $1,000 per month, things shift. You are now saving from your job and your passive income together. Growth speeds up even if effort stays the same. Reaching $3,500 per month becomes easier than the first 1,000. At that level, your survival expenses are covered. Fear starts fading from your daily decisions. You think more clearly and take smarter risks. People leave toxic jobs and start businesses at this stage. They say no more often and negotiate with confidence. This freedom often creates even more income over time. Abundance comes later as a result of staying consistent. Do not obsess over $8,000 per month at the beginning. Your only real job early on is reaching $1,000 per month. That milestone proves the system works. Everything else builds naturally from there. The journey is not linear, it is exponential. Progress looks flat right before it accelerates. The people who succeed are not smarter or luckier. They simply did not quit during the boring phase. So ask yourself where you are right now. Are you building your first 1,000 or pushing towards security? The math works if you stay consistent. You just have to stay long enough to let it compound.